and thank you very much for joining this webinar. Today we have two prominent matters. First is, as we all are aware, that we are living simultaneously in two worlds. One is the world outside us and one the world inside us. The world inside us is made up of a number of microorganisms, number of chemicals, enzymes, number of juices, number of muscles, tissues, number of cells, and other things. One organ of our inner world that is the most forgotten organ, or rather I will say, most underplayed organ in terms of consideration it for the wellness is our gut. And the gut health determines, the internal world determines our external world, our health, our immune system, our interpersonal relationships, directly or indirectly, are affected by the world within. So today we are going to discuss about the crucial aspect of how food, the essential part of our life, impacts our gut health and thereby overall immunity. And to discuss this aspect, we have a prominent speaker, Dr. Srimati Venkat Ramanan. She is prominent in terms of a multifaceted personality. She is an educator, she is an author, she is having different affiliation to different national and international organizations like ASPEN, that is American Society of Parenteral and Eternal Nutrition, European Society of Parenteral and Enteral Nutrition, ESSD, IDA. She is also a regional officer with Indian Association of Parenteral and Enteral Nutrition. She is such a vital personality that explaining for something regarding her is very, for a person like me, is literally impossible. So not taking much of your time, I would request Dr. Srimati to take over the stage and give us vital information about gut health, our nutrition, and how food affect the gut health and thereby overall immunity. Dr. Srimati, up to you.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Let's talk about gut health, my favorite subject today. So many people are not aware, though everybody knows that gut health is very vital. Many people are not aware about where to get the test done and how to interpret it. So let's just talk about how first the gut health, its importance, and how it impacts the whole body as such. Now, health at any age, why is it a secret? Because even in this COVID times, you can see in the newspapers that, okay, 103-year-old or a 90-year-old has recovered very well. They've recovered from a second pandemic, which they have seen in the early 1900s. And even in my clinic, many times when two people come, and I think the son or the daughter is brought the parents along, but it would be the daughter or the son who's of the younger age, who's the patient, and not the older parent who's bringing them, which is very surprising for me all the time. Because what is going on in this world when our grandparents and the great-grandparents were more, not even our parents, actually our grandparents and great-grandparents were more healthy than our own parents. Why is that? What's going on in this world? What is the secret health at any age? Why is it a secret in these before generations, the ancestors? Why were they so healthy? And the quality of life was so good. If you think about your grandmother or your great-grandmother, you'll be thinking, oh, at 90-year-old, she was very active. She's never gone to the hospital. She's never taken any medicine. And even 2 days before, she was so active. I think many people will recall stories in the family like that. But nowadays, even from younger age, we have been falling sick. Now, let us look at the left grandmother. I should not say the young lady, I should say that. Her name is Nanamal. She's 99 and she's the oldest yoga teacher in the world. And when a BBC short story was told about her, they said, "Bend it like Granny." So it was so inquisitive. How come she's so active? She's so, what do you say, so not at all obese. Whenever you see those generations, they will not be overweight or obese. They will be so agile, so active, so healthy. And look at the right side. Her name is Papa Mal. She's still living, 105 years old. She was the oldest Padma Shri awardee this year. 2020, she got the oldest Padma Shri awardee doing hard work. She's still a farmer. She cultivates her own grains. She very active, and she's seen great grandchildren, and she's still living, very healthy. And the left the Nanamal, who's also, she passed away at 99, the oldest yoga teacher. And her mom, who's Ponnamal, was also 107-year-old, practicing yoga till the last day of her life. So I was so intrigued, how come this current generation or the previous just 50 years, how come we have more diabetes, cancer in India compared to the 3-4 generations ago? And I think they are not only in their discipline and in their food habits, but also in their health. They are a great inspiration for us. And I think we should look back and see what went wrong with our food habits, what went wrong with our gut health. Because I think, as you all know, Hippocrates said in the 500 BC itself, all diseases start in the gut. And definitely our own Ayurveda definitely believes that all diseases start in the gut. That is why that we always concentrate on gut health in Ayurveda or Siddha. We always believe in our ancient medicine practices in India that gut health is the seat of all diseases. Now look at this lifestyle and the gut. If you are smoking, if a person has a habit of drinking alcohol or having junk food in these COVID pandemic times, people are trying to eat more healthy. They are more aware that home food is better, but also it depends upon the type you cook and not overdo things. Though people, it is available, outside food is still available, but I think people have become conscious about health, immunity. I read in the paper about a month ago that 20% nutraceutical, and people want to the industry of nutrition and nutraceutical is going to see a big jump. Almost 20% people do want to spend on health and nutrition, and they do want to take care of their health. Now, NSAIDs, as you all know, is also an people just pop those things for different things. So antibiotics also have a detrimental effect on the gut microbiota. Alcohol, smoking also has, junk food also has a detrimental effect on the gut microbiota. Definitely smoking, you all know that it's not only the lungs, but also in the microbes where it causes ulcer because you're taking in a lot of smoke and it just goes from the lungs, and also the gastric lining, the mucosal lining is also damaged, which also causes leaky gut. So not only the NSAIDs or the steroids or antibiotics or the way of life, the lifestyle, the junk food or your habits also has a great impact on the gut. Now there is a chronic inflammation. Now it is like an informal ignition. Okay, so what happens is when the gut we are basically trillions of cells are microbes are there in our gut, and we are basically a mass of microbes in the body. So if there is a leaky gut and that triggers a chronic inflammation, it's not only the gut that is going to be affected, but it is the overall health of the body that is going to be affected. So you're going to have neurological disorders, you're going to have chronic inflammatory disorders. So it can be a chronic inflammatory disorders like an IBS, or it can be a gastric ulcer, Neurological disorders can be Parkinson's. It can be because they have proven time and again that years before the symptoms of tremors start, there are gut microbiome changes inside the gut for Parkinson's, and also for Alzheimer's, those amyloid plaques which is formed in the brain, there are gut microbial changes years before in the gut. So everything starts in the gut, the seat of disease as well as of health. So if you take care of your gut, I'm sure we are going to be hale and hearty like our great grandparents. So the cancer, yes, the cancer is also on the rise. So there is stomach, lung, kidney, pancreatic, and even neuroendocrine tumors, because the gut and the brain is connected, which we are going to see in the subsequent slides. And cardiovascular disorders are also prevalent because of inflammation in the body because of the leaky gut. Now, it's not only how you're going to be physically damaged. The food and the mood is also connected, and the gut and the brain is also connected. So you're going to be under severe stress, depression, mood swings, anxiety, brain fog. There are certain foods when you eat, you feel very lethargic. There are only some foods. There is no such thing as one diet suits everyone. So as nutritionists who are also in my fraternity who has joined this webinar, knows that many people think that if you just Google, even Google doctor, Google nutrition is also detrimental for you. So what is detrimental for you? Maybe you feel lethargic, you're having a brain fog, you're not able to recollect, you're having memory problems. It's not a particular food for one, food for all. It is going to have each food, it's a customized diet. As qualified nutritionists and dietitians, we give customized diets for these people because there is a big association between the gut health and the brain, and we are connected by neurons. There is a gut-brain axis. So gut is the trump card. Now, the community of bacteria in your intestine is like your Aadhaar card, an individual identity card, basically your fingerprint. And so is the gut immunity. So what happens is, when you have the community of bacteria in your intestine, it is like an individual identity card, is because 2/3 of the gut microbiome that is primarily yours will not be the same for another person. It is so individual, very specific. Only 1/3 of our gut microbiome is common to humankind. 2/3 is very, very specific, and you have an individual identity card like your fingerprint or your Aadhaar. Nobody else can use it. So you have to customize the way you eat, the way you sleep. And I also want to put here is, it's not the way the great grandparents were not, how it is also the discipline. They also had a particular time they had food. It's not like where they pop things. Convenient foods was not available for them all the time. So they had very good discipline in their food habits, their physical health, and definitely their sleeping time. There is a time for them to get up. They had their own activity. They had their own food habits, and also the time to rest was very common. It's not like where they abuse their timings, because the circadian rhythm, the way the sleep and awake cycles also affect the gut microbiome, your digestion, your metabolism, the way your hormones are secreted. All this work in tandem. So you have a biochemical machine inside your gut. Your whole body is greatly connected to all organs only through the gut. So in these pandemic times, gut immunity, so the immunity is basically more in your gut than anywhere else in your body. So as I already told you, we are up to about trillions of bacteria, and the bacterial species is about 1,000 different types. Though everything has not been sequenced, but there are a lot of beneficial bacteria that has been identified, like Bifidobacterium, Lactobacillus. So there are different bacterial species, and about 1 to 2 kilograms is the weight of the gut microbiota, though it is just a microbiota, microbes, which has to be seen only through electron microscope, but it is about 1 to 2 kilos, which is very big mass, and we just take it for granted. because we abuse through our food habits, through our life cycle habits, through not sleeping well with our daytime and nighttime. We always, circadian rhythm is all haywire. Our physical activity is very down nowadays. Not only just because of the pandemic, but also previously we were also preoccupied with our work. Now only many people have woken up how health is fragile and we have to take care of our health. Now, the gut-brain axis has been studied in the past decade more and more, because the neurons which are talking only through the neurons, the gut and the brain axis is only through this. So whether you're sleepy, whether you're satisfied, your mood is very good, all depends upon how your serotonin levels, because the serotonin, which is basically the hormone that is also, it is also secreted in the gut mainly, because this key hormone determines how our mood is, our well-being, our happiness, and also impacts our entire body. Not just, it is just a hormone which is a growth or just for our sugars or something like this. This is so important that the brain cells and other nervous system cells communicate each other only through serotonin. And this serotonin, which is mainly secreted by the gut cells, sleeping, it has such a great impact on our digestion, on our eating, and also on our sleeping habits. So it is very important, the gut and the brain, how they talk to each other, the little brain and the big brain. Gut and the brain, over 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut. 90% is huge. And how it has such an impact on our digestion. So it is very important that we take care of our gut health. Now see, we can see when a patient comes to you, they always say, I have a gastric. They don't know unless you probe them what is gastric. They just use very common terms like saying, I feel acidic, I feel gastric. Many people keep popping antacids when they see those ads which they say that you just pop an antacid and within 5 minutes you're fine. Those are all very detrimental, because you need acid in your stomach. Unless advised by your doctor, you should not keep on popping antacids. And there are other medicines which you take long term which also destroys your good beneficial bacteria in your gut. So the leaky gut has an impact. You have to find out the history. Are you abusing NSAIDs? Are you taking antibiotics for a very long time, though your doctor has told you it's only for 7 days, 5 days, or 3 days? Are you continuing to do it because you just want to come out of that infection? Are you having heavy metals in your diet? You never know. Even traumatic brain injury, which we see in our ICU, has such an important, because the gut and the brain is always connected. Cancer patients, when they undergo chemo or radiations, there is leaky gut. Cesarean birth, even normal delivery has a good impact. The mothers, when they come through the vagina, the vaginal birth has such an important impact on the gut microbiome that it has beneficial for the babies. The cesarean also causes leaky gut, or where it is the good bacteria is not colonized as much as a natural birth. Hormone imbalances, which we see through PCOS or PCOD. Chronic inflammation is very common in many people, and also the vitamin and the nutrient deficiencies. So these are all has an impact on your overall metabolic health and your normal health, and even on the way you have your daily activities, your focus, your concentration. Many people think, oh, I'm not able to concentrate even 5 minutes in my paper. So that's why I think in the social media, when they post, they say 1 minute read or a 2 minute read. Maximum, I think people say is only a 3 minute read. I think people don't even do it. So that's why even people ask, they say, ma'am, please keep it less than 2 minutes. Otherwise people don't watch. So our focus is so bad nowadays that people have that only that much of focus nowadays, where the concentration is coming down. And your diet, So people cannot just assume I'm just lactose intolerant or gluten intolerant and just leave those things. It is very important to have a scientific basis on why you are avoiding certain foods for yourself and not follow any fad diets like a keto diet or just saying gluten free or a lactose free. It's not that you should not do it, but unless advised by a qualified dietitian, because they do it scientifically. So nightshades, vegetable, sugar is definitely pro-inflammatory, and also the omega-6, omega-3 ratio. Industrial seed oils, nowadays you can see that cold press oils, many things have come up in the neighborhood, in your own neighborhood if you see, and even online cold press oils are very very people sought after this very much, because the industrial seed oils has been told to them that because they use a lot of chemicals to bleach them. One is to make it white, and also the other, the most important thing is to increase the shelf life. But if you buy a cold press oil, you have a lot of aroma, flavor, you have a cloudy physical appearance. So the shelf life is not much, maybe maximum 2 months or 1 to 2 months, maximum 3 months. So you keep doing it. So the flavor, and it is not pro-inflammatory. So it is important what you put inside your body. So when I was researching about gut health, which is my passionate subject after dysphagia, it just takes 8 seconds for the food to go from your esophagus down your, in the bolus in the form to your, when it passes through from the mouth to your, down the esophagus to your stomach. So for 8 seconds of taste, we really compromise on our health. And your lifestyle, as I told you, has a lot of detrimental effect if you don't do it properly. Environmental toxins, sleep deprivation, because people are on social media and also working online more and more, alcohol, chronic stress. Stress is such an abstract word. People now are more conscious about their mental health. They practice yoga, they practice meditation, prayers, whichever religion you follow has a lot of calming effect and solace, which gives you, that makes you more calm, because people, all of us are at home. If you're not a health worker, people are more working, and that puts a lot of stress on the children, on the parents and the seniors at home, because people don't have me time. And the women in the family are working more, taking care of everyone in the family. So that gives a lot of stress. I'm not genderizing, but there are also men who are taking care of the children and the family, and they have to make sure that the people have to share the work at home. So the lot of stress at home, and also the pandemic when you see the news. So the chronic stress also adds detrimental to the gut health. And toxicity, there are a lot of other metals or infections that also causes toxicity for the gut, and liver toxicity, like more of copper or other heavy metals, which might, people are looking for alternative medicine. It is not bad, but it depends upon the source of medicines which you take. So you have to find out whether the practitioner which you're going is certified by the Ayush ministry or your other ministry. So you have to make sure the medicine which you're sourcing is not laden with heavy metals. So all this has an impact on your gut health. Now, cause and treat. Now, the inflammation, what is an inflammation? Gut inflammation is such a, what do you say? It ignites, it just ignites, because the blood-brain barrier is broken down. There is a fire in the brain, there is an inflammation. So that talks to the gut, and this leads to slow processing speed. You have poor memory. If you open the refrigerator or your cupboard, you think, why did I come here? What is it? Why did I open this? Is it for something else? And foggy thinking, because you're having a very late night biryani, maybe at 11 o'clock, you have Swiggied it, Zomato it, whatever you, and then you're having it virtually with all your friends or something like that. And then morning, you're not able to wake up for your class. So you have so much brain fog in the morning. So all this has an impact. There is a barrier wall there, and that is compromised because of food sensitivity and inflammation, which is produced in the body. Now look at this. culprits of intestinal permeability. There are tight junctions, so nothing should leak through those mucosal walls. These are tight junctions. And when there is a gut dysbiosis, or there is an infection, or there is an inflammation, so what happens is, when there is a gut inflammation because of a food sensitivity, there is so much of inflammation mediators, and this crosses the bloodstream. And because of these inflammation, the blood-brain barrier is compromised, and this has a detrimental effect on the brain as well as in the gut, the overall health. So nutritional insufficiencies, poor dietary choices, all causes this leaky and inflamed gut. And this has an epithelial damage. And because these tight junctions are compromised, you can see that there is a elevated toxin and antigenic burden. There is a systemic inflammation, immune activation, which is pro-inflammatory, and this causes a lot of problems in what do you have is the microglial cells. These are basically specific populations of macrophages that are found in the central nervous system. So when these are damaged, what happens is the neurons and the infections, which are very important for maintaining the health of the central nervous system, is compromised. And so the central nervous system, which is all over throughout the body, has compromised. So what happens? It is damaged, and you have a systemic disease. You have pro-inflammatory cytokines that is released in the body. You have an antigenic burden. So the immune cell, everything is compromised. And if you can, you please go through this link where yesterday it was posted in the Statesman that there is a steep rise in the digestive issues post-COVID, find doctors, because of these pro-inflammatory. This infection has also compromised the gut health, and there is a steep rise in the digestive issues. As you know, there is loose motions, there is lack of taste and smell. Is not only that, and we are not able to eat, but because of this infection, people are recovering that. But there is diarrhea, there is mucus in the stools, there is gastric issues, and there's a lot of digestive issues. And this is an article I think we should read in these times. And I will post it in my group if people are interested, and then we can even post it here in the chat. So there is a steep rise, and we have to look out after the health and also the health of our family and definitely our children. Now, what happens when there is a leaky gut? Malabsorption, nutrient deficiencies. So it is not anymore you are what you eat, you are what you absorb. So malabsorption, nutrient deficiency is a problem. Inflammation, as I told you. Autoimmunity, there are a lot of autoimmune diseases that is on the rise because of this gut health that is compromised because of the chemicals that is there in the food, the way the food is processed. We are eating more out of ready-to-eat foods, convenience foods, food preservatives, food colorings, all these are a problem. And there is a blood-brain barrier breach, which is causing a lot of digestive issues, which is causing inflammation in the body. And these causes a lot of issues for a systemic inflammation. But now, what I want to tell you is, what is healthy for one cannot be healthy for the other. Healthy foods can definitely, they are healthy, but they can be a havoc for health for others. I just wanted to share a story. One patient which got admitted last month, she was 50 plus, and she was telling me she was come for a spine surgery in our hospital, and she was telling me 24 years I've had digestive issues, Sriman. And I'm like, ma'am, what happened? Why? What is the thing? She was saying, I have gastric issues. Whenever I take some certain food, I go to the bathroom. So it is very difficult for me to travel with my son or my spouse. I'm so difficult. Even I cannot travel in a train or air. I have to go in the car because, and I have to pack my own food. I cannot enjoy with my children or grandchildren. I always have to pack a curd rice or something that agrees with me. And whenever I take something, I keep drinking jeera water all the time. So that gives me whether But nothing is able to help me a lot because these periodic episodes keep coming again and again. I'm off lactose food. I don't take anything milk. I'm off wheat. But still, I have this problem. Though I have read articles in the Google for the past 5 years, I have not taken gluten or nor I've taken, I think we see all these people who come, no, they already say I'm off wheat, I'm off this gluten, I'm off certain foods. Then also I have. So they think that once food fits all or one diet fits all. And she keeps mentioning that I take jeera water a lot, I take coriander seed water, I take all this. And I said, ma'am, you finished the surgery. You first come out of this convalescent stage. Then we'll do a food intolerance test for you. Because I can't just give you a diet sheet just like that you can get it from Google. I need to find out, though you're doing your elimination diet, which you think is good for you, let us see a food intolerance test. What is causing these triggers, which is causing you this inflammation in the body, and also trying to make you not only the digestive issues, she also had a lot of headaches and other things that is coming. Let us try to solve it scientifically and not just say that let us avoid certain things. So you will be surprised, and I was surprised too, when the food intolerance test came. She was highly allergic to jeera, and it came in the red, and that was so surprising for me. So when you see that healthy food for one can be havoc for other. So when she saw it, she was also so shocked that whenever she had these acute episodes, she kept drinking that. So that was more pro-inflammatory. That was actually causing more issues for her, though she was thinking that was what. So when I gave her a diet, there are health tests even for spices. Yes, jeera is very good. Black pepper is very good. But there are a lot of people who are allergic, who are intolerant to certain spices too. So we cannot just say drink jeera water, drink this water, which all these celebrity people say that. Let us do it scientifically by doing a gut health test, a food intolerance test, a food allergy test, find out what it is. You should know when to do a food allergy test or a food intolerance test. Find out what it is sensitive for. I think in the next speaker is just going to show us what is red, what is yellow, green, and then yellow. So these healthy foods can have neurological symptoms, respiratory symptoms, circulatory, GI, skin issues, and definitely they'll have, as I told you, this arthritic joint and musculoskeletal symptoms. So it's not just that is going to have digestive issues, but all over the body it is going to have a systemic response, which is not going to be a good quality of life for them. So as qualified paramedics, we should also know what is out there, what is the science out there, and how to solve these issues for the clients and the patients that come to us for help. Adverse reaction to food. What happens is there is an allergic reaction, there is an intolerance reaction. Now this immune mediated is IgE, and this non-immune mediated is IgG. Now what happens is there is also an IgG, but what is the classic allergy reaction? Now when there is an enzyme deficiency or you have a chronic symptom like a food intolerance, this will be a non-immune mediated. So what happens when there is an IgE mediated is this inclusion is very low, where the symptoms is relatively high in IgG, but here it is short time. IgE is short time, but the IgG is chronic, and there will be a variable symptom. This is basically a mast cell triggered. What is a mast cell? This is a resident cell in the connective tissue, which has histamine and heparin. And actually, when this is compromised, what happens is the specific neurons, there is so much of chronic inflammation in the body. So when there is an IgG immune complex trigger, but this is a basophil and a mast cell trigger. So this is basically an acute thing, and this is a chronic, which is a long-term thing. So what happens is you have to know what intolerance, what allergic food they are. So are they allergic, which is causing them an acute reaction, a skin reaction, which goes away when you take it out, or it is an intolerance which is going to cause them a systemic inflammation, which is going to be a long term, which not only has a GI problem, but also a neurological, circulatory, autoimmune, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of many issues. The onset of symptoms may be 2 to 3 hours when you're allergic, but this might be a chronic thing. And it will also, it is not just one particular age. So you should know what they are allergic to, what they are intolerance, and why it is different to call it as an allergy and what it is to call as an intolerance. And there are specific tests. So we might be thinking, oh, I'm very much fine, but look at the leaky gut. I'm okay, I'm fine, but I just get these headaches on and off very often. I get these migraine triggers. I just get these joint pains on and off, but it just goes away when I pop something. I have these heartburn symptoms. I just pop an antacid and I'm fine. No, you're not. Find out what is do not just treat the symptoms, find out the cause of the problem and try to find out whether you have a leaky gut. So you will treat it scientifically. Now the path to gut health is you have to test, analyze the history of the patient, get the correct test done, suggest an elimination diet where there is a red, there is a yellow, and there is a green. So the red intolerance is avoided only for a few months, and then you have to use this patient report to have a customized diet plan. Check for the improvement in health when you do an elimination diet. Slowly reintroduce the eliminated food. This is not something like lifelong, but you have to make sure that you have to reintroduce the eliminated food, which is the guidelines that is to. So the path to gut health is test, have a customized diet plan, look for improvement in symptoms, and slowly reintroduce the eliminated food. So footprint, the testing and the interpretation, Mr. Kandarp is going to do that. So the question answers, I'll take it in the end. I'm sure now you have an eye opener how gut health is so important, not just for digestive issues, but also for immunity and also for the systemic health, the neuron health, autoimmune diseases, neuro diseases, and definitely the overall health. And you know, like our ancestors did, the gut health is the answer to understand and treat it in a scientific manner and try to get back our health, what our ancestors did. The quality of life, not just living. Yes, our lifespan has increased. That is only by number of years, but not by the quality of life which our great grandparents had. So let us get back our health through gut health. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srimati. Friends, now coming to the interpretation part. Since interpretation is also a vital part of the test, the interpretation of footprint is done through traffic signal like color coding, wherein the red means the food one has to avoid. He or she has to avoid the foods in red for at least a period of 3 to 6 months based on the severity of the symptoms. The foods in the yellow are called borderline foods. These borderline foods are to be reduced or rotated. Means if 4 foods are borderline, every week those foods are to be rotated. They should not be consumed routinely or repeatedly. But one day then taking normal food which are in green, then again another week taking the food in yellow, and so on. And the foods in green can be safely consumed without any hesitation. The only thing to be kept in mind is if someone is knowing some food he or she is allergic to, he has or she has to avoid that food even if that food is in green in the report. Now, the report is comprised of IgG antibodies level quantitatively to 215 foods. which comprises of seafood, dairy and eggs, herbs and spices. It also comprises of vegetables, grains, fruits, meats, nuts, and others like coffee, mushrooms, and all. And once you identify the causative food and plan an elimination diet by a qualified dietitian like Dr. Srimati, you can be assured that your health, your vitality, your well-being can be regained, and the foods which you have avoided can be reintroduced once your gut health or gut integrity is taken care of. So, unlike allergy, the foods which are reactive in food intolerance test can be reintroduced. Whereas if someone is allergic to, the foods can never be reintroduced. Thank you very much for your attention, and for further support post-test, we also provide patient diet guidebook through Dr. Lal's lab. Now I hand it over to Ms. Alka for the commercial part of the test.
So the MRP of this test is 13,000. The sample report we give, sample is daily and the report is in 2 days. Apart from the food intolerance, we have a key test range for the health, for the gut health. Allergy, in this we are doing like 107 allergens, stomach health test, fecal calprotectin, fecal elastrase, PCOD, nutrition anemia panel, micronutrient deficiency screen. So these test range are also available with us. So now we are open for questions. Ma'am, there is one question for you.
Sure.
Is gluten is good for diet or not?
So that's what I was just telling. There is no one size fits all. You don't need to avoid gluten for everyone. There is something called a celiac disease where celiacs avoid it definitely. But there are also some people who are allergic to wheat. So you have to find out, just because you read it somewhere, please do not avoid wheat and wheat products. It is just that it is to be tailored to you. Unless, see, if you eat something and you have a gas or a bloating or a fullness, seniors also develop this in their 50 plus or 60 plus also. We do have a late gluten intolerance we have seen. So it is better to just test it and then see whether you need to avoid it or not, and then try to avoid it. And there is no one thing like saying that lactose intolerant people where they get diarrhea or bloating. So I cannot say for them milk is good. Milk is good, yes. But for those people, milk is not good for the lactose intolerant. Same thing for people with gluten sensitivity. So when you have a gluten sensitivity test done and you have some issues that you see that red over there. So your body is pro-inflammatory response is there when you do that test, it comes in red. So then definitely you avoid gluten, you go to a dietitian, a qualified one, and they will tell you. Just because someone else is avoiding, you don't need to avoid. So you can't, there is no such thing, this is a bad food or a good food. How is it bad or how is it good for you is the one. So if you have particular symptoms, yes, definitely get it tested. So then you can scientifically try to know whether you want to avoid it or not.
Ma'am, there is another question from Abhay. Sure. What is the reason for lactose intolerance in body?
See, nowadays what happens is, before a few generations ago or 40, 50 years ago, the lactose intolerance is very, very common in the West. So there is something called a lactate tablet where when I was in the US, people just used to pop it and they drink it. Or they used to have specific milk for lactose intolerance. But that has caught up in India also. It is also because of the hormones that is there in the milk or the way that it is processed nowadays. All that has caused a lot of, and also our gut is not taking as water. And so we used to get more fresh cow's milk or fresh milk. Now there are a lot of allergens. Even in children, there is cow's milk allergy, which is CMA. So it is more on the rise. The lactose intolerance is on the rise because the way the food is processed and it reaches your house. So what happens is, there is also this, they also call as A1 milk, A2 milk. So many things have been messed up in our food production where there is Nowadays, that is why they are talking about food sustainability and climate change, everything, because everything is interconnected. The way the chicken is fed, the way the cows are fed, that is why they say grass-fed milk. How do we know grass-fed cows? Are we going to go and check it? So it is important that lactose intolerance, yes, it is on the rise. If you drink milk and you have a sense of bloating or cramps where you get these tight like a pulling thing in your stomach, or you have loose motions or a mucus in the stool, or you feel very uncomfortable, then stop. Curd, but the same thing I just want to tell you is curd is extremely good. So whoever is lactose intolerant need not avoid your yogurt or curd or dahi or chas, because that is probiotic food that is very, very, very beneficial to your gut, because it introduces good bacteria into your stomach. So if you are lactose intolerant, definitely avoid milk, but please do not avoid curd, yogurt, chas, dahi.
Can I add
Thanks, ma'am.
something to you,
Yes.
doctor?
Please.
The lactose intolerance mainly is pertaining to the absence of enzyme responsible for digesting the lactose sugar. The enzyme is known as lactase. So the milks which are available abroad and at some places in India, which are called lactose-free milk, those milks are devoid of the sugar, milk sugar called lactose. So there is a particular difference. The intolerance, other intolerances like intolerance to wheat, intolerance to fruits, that is because of the pro-inflammatory IgG mediated reaction. Whereas lactose intolerance has something to do with deficiency of the enzyme lactase in the population. Thank you.
So, ma'am, we are taking the last question for today. Will this test measure all inflammatory measures?
Dr. Kiran, do you want to take it?
Yeah. Will this test, food intolerance, measure all inflammatory measures?
Can I put forward?
Yes, please.
This test is measuring one of the most prominent pro-inflammatory marker of inflammation, that is IgG class of antibodies, and that too to an array of 215 foods. That facilitates not only to identify the foods which are not suitable to you, but that also helps you to identify which foods are safe for you to consume. So that you don't just plan your elimination diet, but you also plan your diet according to the foods which are in green, or the foods which are suitable or convenient to be consumed routinely. Other inflammatory markers are also there, which plays a role, but not as vital as the food, the intolerant food, because food is a part of our routine life. So it plays a major role in inflammation build-up or healthiness or wellness build-up.
So, ma'am, we are closing this webinar. Rest query answers, I'll mail you personally to each one of you.
Please.
So, ma'am, thank you for for this interesting information, and thanks, Kando, for supporting this webinar, and thanks everyone for joining us and take out some time and be part of this session.
Thank you,
everyone.
audience, and thank you, Dr. Alka. And
Wish
thank you,
everyone
audience, for
a healthy life ahead. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.